Hello everyone, how's it going? Dr. Incompetent here, and let's do a complete beginner's guide to Blueprints, shall we? Blueprints is an amazing puzzle, adventure, mystery, roguelite, and it is a tricky game to do a guide for because I don't want to spoil the puzzles, the surprise that comes with uncovering the game on your own, and yet there are a lot of mechanics and elements of the game that would benefit from further elaboration. So what I'm going to do here is fire up a brand new profile and a brand new game so that you can play along with me and learn the decision-making process for how to play the game and how to understand the logic of the puzzles, but I'm going to do so in a way that's as non-spoilery as possible. And this is almost an impossible task, but there needs to be a guide for some elements of the game because there were things that I had all sorts of questions about, and much of it is actually revealed as you get further into the game, but there are some things that I think we can talk about that will help you enjoy the game and hit the ground running so you don't just bounce off of this amazing title. We're going to encounter mysteries and puzzles and discuss them as they emerge and use the clues that are present in the game without me just telling you the solution. We're going to talk about how we find the solution and what the game is showing us so that organically and through the process of the game you can learn to play on your own and then pick up and enjoy the game at your own pace. Sound good? All right, so let's dive in and start a brand new game.
Herbert S. Sinclair of the Mount Holly Estate at Reddington do publish and declare this instrument my last will and testament, and hereby revoke all wills and codicils heretofore made by me. I give and bequeath to my grandnephew, Simon P. Jones, son of my dear niece, Mary Matthew, all of my right, title, and interest in and to the house and land which I own near Mount Holly. The above provision and bequest is contingent on my aforementioned grandnephew discovering the location of the 46th room of my 45-room estate. The location of the room has been kept a secret from all the staff and servants of the manor, but I am confident that any heir worthy of the Sinclair legacy should have no trouble uncovering its whereabouts within a timely manner. Should my grandnephew fail to uncover this room or provide proof of his discovery to the executors of my will, then this gift shall lapse. In witness whereof I have hereunto set my hand this 18th day of March, 1993. Herbert S. Sinclair.
All right. Well, everything in that opening sequence was important to us understanding what's going on, and we're going to see as we progress in this guide and play the beginning of the game together that although there is mystery, the game will reveal things in its own way, and we just need to be observant and piece the clues together. So, what's going on? We've been left this fabulous estate in the will of Herbert Sinclair, I think our great-grand uncle, perhaps, and what we need to do is find the 46th room in this 45-room estate, and then we obtain the property. And if we don't, then, well, the will falls away and we lose our opportunity. One thing that should be noted, and I misinterpreted this at the beginning of the game when it says it will lapse. I thought we were under a time crunch, like a set number of days that we had to find the room, but that is not the case. You are not under a time crunch. You can take as much time as you need. It's just if you give up that you will lose your privilege to the estate. Speaking of time, another key element of this game is that you have as much time as you need within each room. That for the most part, you are not under any stress, and you need to be paying attention to the details so that you don't miss anything as you explore. The way that time works is in the upper left corner, those feet, that is the currency of kind of how much time we have each day in the manor to explore. But that will become clear in a moment. First thing we just need to talk about is that you can look around, of course, using the mouse, and you can walk around using WASD. You could play this game with a controller. I'm going to be playing with mouse and keyboard, and there is also an outside that you can go to and explore, and you should do this, and we will do this. But going outside will take steps, or exhaustion, and so will going into a new room. So just know that if you go out there and poke around, you will be losing some of the currency that you use to explore. We're going to kind of walk around in this room and just start looking around and see what we can interact with. Like I said, the purpose of this guide is to help you understand how to play the game and understand kind of some of the logic of the puzzles without telling you directly, when it can be avoided, how to solve the puzzle. I'm instead going to kind of point out some things that you want to look out for and help you understand the controls and the game logic a little bit more so that you can explore and find your own strategies for attempting to make progress. So you'll see here on this table that there is an envelope, and you'll notice how my mouse cursor changes to an eyeball. Whenever you can actually interact with something in the environment, your mouse cursor will change, or your targeting reticule. And it's always here in the center. And for example, if I look at this blueprint, it turns into a hand, meaning you could pick this up, you can look at this. So what I always do with this interaction is I just aim the center of my camera, my targeting reticule, at things in the environment. I make sure to get close enough to them and see if I can, in fact, interact because the cursor will change. So, for example, we could go in this room. We can look at this little card here. But if it just remains this kind of vaguely transparent triangle in the center of the screen, that means there is nothing you can do. So don't worry about trying to interact with this because there is no interaction. So this is like a litmus test that you can use on everything just to see if it's part of the background or something you can interact with. But even if you can't interact with it, that doesn't mean that it's not relevant as a clue or as helping you solve the mystery. It just means you can't pick it up or pull it or touch it or something like that. So let's open up the envelope, and this says open only in the event of my death. And there is a stamp up here that has a number 4 on it with a blue ship. And you'll see in the bottom left, there are the controls for these letters. If they have multiple pages, you use the arrow keys to scroll between them. Simon, welcome to Mount Holly. You may not remember, but I have fond memories of your many visits here as a young boy, and I hope these rooms provide you with as much amusement as it did in those lost summer days. By the time you read this, I will assume you are fully aware of my last wishes and all the details of the bequest. Please do not mistake my intentions in giving you this challenge as a lack of confidence. I assure you, nothing could have been further from my mind when I chose you as my heir. With that said, there are a few ground rules of this commission covered in the fine print of my will that I feel I should bring to your attention. Number 1. No tools or items may be brought onto the estate from the outside. Tools and items found on the estate may not be taken off the estate. You may not stay overnight. So, there are some embellishments to the language and the game terminology that I think are important to let you know about. So, for example, when it says that you may not bring tools onto the estate from the outside, of course the outside does not mean outdoors by the fountain or in the surrounding grounds, because those are part of the estate. So if you were to find an item outside, you could bring it into the estate because you haven't really left the estate. What they mean is I can't bring any supplies like a flashlight or something like that from the outside, and I can't take anything from the estate out of here. The key too is that I can't stay overnight. The first 2 bullet points don't really come into play as much as they're just explaining the circumstances of the challenge before us. But we may not stay in the house overnight, but we can stay on the grounds at our campsite. I don't suspect that any of these stipulations should prove an impediment for someone as resourceful as yourself, but it is very important to me that you start fresh each morning and not rely on the successes of the previous day. This is something that Blueprints does throughout the game, which is, it is a exploration puzzle roguelike. And what that means is they're going to explain elements. I guess it's more of a roguelite in that there is some meta progression that you can use to give you an advantage later, which we'll talk about it when we get to it. But this means that the mansion and the layout of the mansion will reset each day. And they're just explaining that that is actually a known quantity to the people who live here and to the player of this game, which is us. So all of the rules will actually be kind of transmitted to us through notes, memos, and clues. And it's kind of a nice way to, break the fourth wall and explain game concepts to the player. One final word of advice. Do not assume the rooms you find today will be the same rooms you find tomorrow. And here it is. These grounds have provided me a home for the last half-century, and even I am uncertain of which room lies beyond any particular door. Your grandmother used to say, "Don't go where the path leads. Abandon the path and go where you want it to lead." This is probably one of the most important things that you'll see in these pages, these last 2 notes. The rooms will change every day, and we get to make our own path, and that is the game. That is how we're going to play the game and how we're going to explore. We'll look at that and the nuts and the bolts in a moment, but that is something we should always keep in our mind. With all my love and wishes, best of luck, Herbert S. Sinclair. Okay, so you can right-click away from that to dismiss it. Let's pick up this blueprint, and we have found the Mount Holly blueprint. This will serve as a useful map and inventory log during your adventures And we can access the blueprint menu by pressing tab. And this is basically like the map. So if I press tab right now, you'll see, here we go. This is the Mount Holly estate. On the left of this screen is the grid. It is a 9x5 grid of rooms for the manor. Remember, he said it was a 45-room estate. So presumably, this 9x5 grid are all 45 rooms of the estate, and we're looking for the 46th room. To the right of this, you'll also see some important information, which is right here in the center. It says entrance hall. It just shows what room you're in at the moment. Inventory, any items that we pick up. This will become populated with things as we go. Right now, we just know we're on day 1, and we have all of our steps intact. And there are some other fields that will be filled in again as we go. And we can also click this button in the bottom right to call it a day if we want to stop and reset the progress, but we don't want to do that right now. Let's continue looking around this room, which is the entrance hall, and we notice this card over here. So sometimes you will find these black cards, and they will give you rules of the game. Searching the estate can be exhausting. Each time you enter a room, you will lose 1 step. When you no longer have any steps left, you will be too tired to continue searching the manor and must call it a day. And you see how in blue it says call it a day because that's a function that we have that we saw on the blueprint. You can either just retire if you feel like, you know what, I'm not going to be able to make any more progress. There's nothing else I can do. I'm just going to call it a day. Or if you take your last step and you go from 1 to 0, your character will kind of pass out from exhaustion and you will wake up in front of the manor again for a new day. So now we understand the concept of exhaustion, and you'll see in the room there are 3 doors. And if I look at the map here by pushing tab at our blueprint, the entrance hall itself has a double door that we come into from the outside. There is a door to the west, to the east, and to the north. And if this reminds you of Clue, well, yes. I think that is, the game is very much inspired by that in certain ways, and the art style is on point with that. And you'll notice that this kind of, I guess it's just this cutaway look at any blueprint. The doors are visible, and we can go in either of these directions by opening the door and attempt to fill in the path by adding rooms. But before we leave the entrance hall, it is worth just looking around and seeing what is in this room. Okay, so there is like a little painting of a lake and some houses with some mountains. There are a couple of busts. There's a grandfather clock, and the time, you could see it actually is moving. This matters in some ways, but it doesn't matter in the sense that, like, if the time moves, that the day will end even if you have steps remaining. That isn't how it works. The day will end when your steps are out. And there are also in these frames pictures, which you could see there is a queen of diamonds and an ace of spades. So I'm going to do something now, which is begin to take notes. Now, the game will tell us to do this later, but I think it's worth writing at the beginning of the game to get into the habit of this. So I'm going to open up Notepad, and I'm going to say entrance hall, and I'm going to put some notes here. I saw a picture of cards, queen of diamonds, and ace of spades. Additionally, we found the envelope in here, There was a black card. There is a clock. And there are 4 doors in this room. And also, this room is located in row 1, position 3. And I'll show you that in a moment. Now, you don't need to take all of these notes, and you can even add some notes. Remember I said I'm going to try to not be spoilery. I'm not going to tell you what these things mean right now. I'm just writing down some notes of things that I saw. But also, some of these notes are not relevant, because that's the kind of spirit where you're not really sure what's going to be important, but you need to take note, because it might come into play later, and there might be some things that I've even missed in my observation here. So feel free to add as many notes as you want, but I really, really think it will benefit you to do this. And I think at first when I started playing, I was like, oh, I don't need to take notes, but this is the kind of game where you do need to take notes. To solve these puzzles, you're going to need to take notes, and meticulous notes. Right at the beginning, the puzzles aren't too challenging, but things start to get way more complicated as you go, and you want to be able to keep track of this, and the sooner you start keeping record, the faster the puzzles will come to you later. So it's a good best practice to say, all right, well, I'm right here on the bottom row, or rank is what they call this in the game, and the antechamber is kind of our goal. We need to get to this antechamber, so we need to move up and try to get there if possible. And I'm going to just say, let's go over here to this door to the east. You could pick any of these doors. It's up to you. And when I click this, boom, select a room to draft. Okay. So here's what this means. This is the roguelike or roguelite element of this game. It's a pick 3. If you play many roguelikes, like maybe Slay the Spire, a deck building roguelike, you get to choose from 3 cards, or a lot of action roguelikes give you 3 power-up options that you can choose for your abilities or whatever. This is a choose 3 so far. And when we choose one of these rooms, it will add to the map in the location of the door that we open. Here is an incredibly important tip. Push tab right away so you can see to the left the map, and it will show you a preview of what it looks like if we, for example, select to build a bedroom right here, or a closet, or a hallway. If we select from one of these, this room will be built, and once you have clicked on the door, you are locked into making a choice at that moment. If you try to push escape, it says once you've drawn floor plans, you must select one to draft. So you can't back away from this. You have to do it. So let's talk about what the choices are. So first of all, the bedroom says whenever you enter the room, you gain 2 steps. So when you go into a room, you're going to lose a step. But in this case, we would gain a step. So it kind of helps restore your fatigue a little bit by going into it. Additionally, the bedroom, if I put it down, you'll see it actually has another door. So if I go into the bedroom, I will be able to exit out the north door. The game will automatically rotate the rooms and show you the placement. You do not get to choose the orientation of the room at this moment. It is like this. So what this means is you have to kind of go with it. Like, for example, the hallway, if I put it in, it looks like this. It will open up access to the east and to the north, as well as connect, along its west door. So what do we want to do? In general, my advice to you is to try to make as many doors as you can early to promote your exploration. Because if you create, for example, if I put closets on all of the doors, I've put a dead end in every direction, and now I can't go anywhere. It's almost like we're trying to, build a pathway that goes up to the antechamber. And, that's our ultimate goal. But that won't get us into the antechamber at the moment, because these doors are not open. You could see how they're like light blue. The antechamber doors are going to require a little bit more for us to get inside at the moment. And our goal really is to explore and figure out the mystery and how to play the game and make ourselves stronger so that we can go all the way up to the antechamber and figure out the mysteries there as well. So you want to prolong your stay within the manor as long as possible. That's my first step. My first tip, which is to try to make as many doors as you can. If you can't, if that's not an option, then of course, you get some items. Like the closet is very good. 2 items can be very, very helpful. But this would close us off from some other options. So this is better built, in the corner or in some other place where I don't need to have multiple doorways. And you also want to make choices based on if you have built the room before, especially early game. You want to try to build like each room one time, because when you go into a room, there's going to potentially be some unique items, maybe a letter, maybe some kind of clue that you need to pick up, and you won't be able to see it if you don't actually build the room. So part of the early exploration is trying to build a lot of doorways so I can go to as many rooms as I can, and to try to go through the draft pool of your deck or your pool of rooms to see as many as you can, to figure them out. Because not only could there be clues about the mysteries of the game and the story and getting through the puzzles, but also by going through the rooms, you learn the rules of the game. You learn what each room does, what you can find in there, so that when you see that room again as a choice to draft, you know not only what doors it has, but what this room adds to your run and when it's a good time to deploy it. Pay attention to the color of these. You see the bedroom is purple, the closet is blue, the hallway is this kind of brownish color. So, these are the kinds of points that we don't know what that means, but we do see that they are different colors. And we don't even know what items are from the closet, but we want to find out. So I'm going to build the hallway like so. And you'll notice then the door opens and there is a hallway in the next room. If I push tab, you can see there is a hallway here. Now, I do not lose any steps until I go into the room. So you can just go right into the hallway and progress from there. Or if you wanted, you can open up the rest of the rooms in the entrance hall and see what you can get in the drafting situation there and figure out which way you want to go based on what rooms you get. So let's click over here and okay, I get 3 more choices, of course, and they are different. It is worth mentioning, when you start, the pool of cards is fixed from a fixed deck. Some rooms are more rare than others. You personally will most likely see, I don't think it's fixed, different choices than I am seeing, so your layout might be different than mine, just based on what you see. But you're still going for, can I get a lot of doors? Can I prolong my stay? Is this a room I've seen before? What are the benefits of this room? Additionally, when you're looking at these choices, push tab to see, of course, how it plays on the map. And the den looks fantastic to me. The Nook and the spare room will go back into the deck, and I can see them again. When you draft a certain rooms, that might trigger other rooms to become available within your pool of cards. So that also will affect how your run plays out. Each day is a run, is how I would call that. And we have to learn what these effects are by doing. It's a game about trial and error, But as I said before, you don't have to worry too much about the error part, because if you fail, you just start a new day. And you have as much time as you need to try to solve the mystery. Some runs are way better than others. Sometimes you're going to be exploring everywhere. You're going to use all of your steps up, and you're just going to make massive progress. Other times, you didn't get the best stuff. You know, you ended up not getting what you needed, and you just have to start over and, you know, have another day. No worries. So I'm going to build a den right here. Okay, and there's the den. And then we have one more here. And dead end bedroom. Well, I'm not in the mood to build a closet or a storeroom yet, because I don't want to have a dead end right at the beginning. But it is, of course, worth mentioning that the storeroom and the closet are great. Getting a key, getting a gem, getting a coin in the storeroom is good. Getting 2 random items in the closet is also good. We'll talk about these things when we get them, but for now, I'm going to build a bedroom, and now all of our choices from the entrance hall are laid out. You can see them here on the blueprint, and when you now just go into one of these, all of these are new rooms to us, because of course we're just starting out, but that's okay. That's what it's all about, and that's really good, actually. So let's just go back to the hallway and walk in. You'll notice in the upper left, my steps went down to 1. And now that I'm out of the entrance hall, you can't see it because my face is in the way, but in your game you'll see it. It says hallway, and then it says rank, and then my logo is blocking the number of the rank. But let me explain to you. The rank is the row that you're in. So every room in this bottom row is rank 1. Every room in this row above it is rank 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, all the way up. The antechamber row is rank 9. So it's not about, when I first saw rank for the room, I thought that meant, oh, it's like this room is level X or whatever. It's not that. It's not about that. Instead, this is just telling you where it is positionally. All right, so let's explore this room. And on this table, there's a card. Doors in the west wing are more likely to be locked. Okay, interesting. So I'm going to bring up my notepad, and I'm going to say hallway. And in the hallway, there is a red card that says doors in the west wing are more likely to be locked. Now, it's also worth mentioning that sometimes what I do is I just take a picture on my phone of things so I have a record. And in this room, there is a picture of a pin and a picture of a tree. And there is some wallpaper. There are some flowers. Some vases. Some couches, I suppose. Okay. And there are 2 doors. So I'm going to write this down, that let's take notes. I'm in position 1, 4, and there is a picture of a pine tree and a safety pin. Okay. Now, which way do we want to go? Let's go to the corner and open up this eastern door. All right, perfect. So we have 2 corner rooms, actually, the pantry and the parlor. So the pantry will give us 4 coins if we go into it. And the parlor has a puzzle inside. The storeroom, if I push tab to look at this is actually okay. It's in the corner. It's not the end of the world. But if I build the parlor, it does give me yet another door. And the pantry does as well. You could see the orientation. It's going to twist us up to the north. So let's build the parlor right here. And let's go in. I lose a step, and I'm now in the parlor. So what do I see in the parlor? I could see outside the grounds. I can see 3 boxes over there. And there's 2 pictures there. So you're starting to see how the rooms tend to have these 2 pictures in them. These kind of like black prints of different items. There is also an apple in this room. And if you click on the apple, I eat it and I get 2 steps. Food will restore your steps or exhaustion. And it is worth mentioning that I'm not sure if that apple is there for you the first time you find the parlor. And it's certainly not in the parlor every time. There are random items that can appear in rooms, like keys or gems, food. These things coins, they could just be lying around. And it's part of the reason why you always need to be patient and observant to not miss things like that. So there are some pages here. These were written on May the 2nd, and it says, Dear Herbert. Okay, so this is written to Herbert Sinclair. It was a great honor receiving the invitation to dine at your estate with the Oldhams this past Thursday. If I'm being frank, it had been quite a while since we had been seen in decent society, and we were beginning to worry that my wife's wit had lost its charm. I have no delusions that my company is rival to hers. If I can refresh your memory, we both spent much of that evening discussing our mutual love of games and puzzles, and I had mentioned to you a rather singular parlor game I had played some years back involving 3 boxes of different colors. Okay, we just saw those. You had pressed me to write with the particulars of this game when I found a time, and I have included with this letter all the details you will need to share with guests should you be inclined to play this confounding game. Always your friend, M. Lowry. So here are the rules. There will always be at least 1 box which displays only true statements. Okay. There will always be at least 1 box which displays only false statements. And only 1 box has a prize within. The other 2 are always empty. So these are the rules of the puzzle in this room. So I will right-click to dismiss this, and let's pick up this winding key here, the wind-up key. All right. And anything else? There is the picture of Herbert Sinclair above the fireplace. Okay. So let's go ahead and look at this. I will push escape, and we're going to take some notes. So this is the parlor, and in the parlor is the 3-box puzzle game. I found an apple this time anyway, and the wind-up key. This is also at position 1-5. All right, so rank or row 1. Oh, I keep pushing the wrong thing. And column 5. And we see a picture of a stag or deer. I'm not sure what. And also there is a picture of I don't know, a tag or a 10 or a price. Okay, good enough. At first, it's not really clear what these are. And I just start writing down whatever they look like to just keep track of it. So let's look at these boxes. This box says, this box is the middle box. So remember, the rules. 1 box will always say true. 1 box will say false. Those have to happen. And then 2 of the boxes are empty, and there is a prize within 1. So this box, this label is not correct. By the way, this is randomized every time you get here. I'm not sure if the first time it's going to be the same as mine or not, but it's a logic puzzle that you have to solve by figuring out which box is telling the truth, which box is false, and then where the prize is. So this is false. The gems are in the middle box, so this could be true. And this box is the middle box, so this is false. So it's like one is true, one is false, and the other could be true or false. In this case, we know this is false, and this is false. And so by process of elimination, one of them has to be true. It's this one. And so the gems are in this box. And so you use your Windup Key on the front of it. You see how the mouse icon changes to the key. And we twist this and open it. And we have found ourselves 2 gems that are yellow. All right, there we go. And you see in the upper right, now I have a currency, 2 gems. This currency, if I push tab, you could see in the upper right now, it's displaying my steps, my keys, my gems, and my coins. Your keys, gems, and coins are not going to carry over to the next day, just like the layout of the room. Remember, everything is reset. So we want to try to use them each day if we can. Now, we don't know what the gems do yet, but we have them. And now we can go north or we can go back. It is worth mentioning, because we haven't backtracked yet, if I were to go backward, I would lose a step. Even if I've already explored the room, you lose a step. So plan accordingly. That if you need to go all the way back to the den, well, I'm going to lose 1, 2, 3 steps to get there. I'm going to then open up this door to conserve steps. All right. And I can build the storeroom, the spare room, or the chapel. So I'm going to push tab to show you the options. The chapel looks great because it's got 3 doors. But it does have a negative. It's a red room, and it has a negative which says whenever we enter the chapel, we lose a coin. So we have to kind of like tithe to the collection plate. However, if you don't have any coins, you don't lose anything because you don't have any money to give. So this is actually okay for us right now because we don't have any money. So I'm thinking about putting down the chapel. We could also put the dead end and get these items, and we could put the spare room if we wanted as well. But remember, I'm trying to maximize doors and also learn about each different room type. So let's put the chapel, and we're going to go in. Now, as soon as I go in, I lose a coin. I lose a step. If I had a coin, you would hear kind of like a bell ringing or a coin dropping sound effect, and we would be losing money. So let's take a look at the chapel. And, oh, there's a gem. Now, this is random. Sometimes there's a coin here. Sometimes there might be a gem here. Sometimes there's nothing here. But in this case, we have found a gem. I will pick it up. There is also a bishop chess piece. A huge bishop chess piece. And then if you look, there are like these stained glass windows with Roman numerals. 1, and you could start to count around like 2, 3, 4, 5 over there. And then 6 and 7. So there is the altar with all these candles. There is this kind of like, the iconography for a religion, which it's not necessarily clear what we're dealing with here. And then there is a circular stained glass window at the top, which has the Mount Holly symbol. All right, now it's time to take some notes. We found a gem. You must tie the coin. Bishop, chess piece. Okay. Now, this is at position 2, 5. However, what's interesting is, I'll show you in a moment. Let me just close the notes, move back here. Even though we're at room 2-5, there don't appear to be any pictures in this room. And this is because, as to the best of my knowledge, some rooms will have pictures and some will not. So, I'm going to actually leave that note to myself. No pictures. All right. So, where do I want to go? Well, I could go west or I could go north. Let's see if we could connect this to the bedroom. And we can. Or we can... so here we have some choices. I could place the Nook, which would take us back down to the hallway. I could place the corridor, which goes to the bedroom. But not to the hallway, you see. So if you have a situation where the doors are mismatched, like the hallway wants to go to the north, but the corridor doesn't have a door there, then what that means is the door in the north of the hallway will become boarded up, and you just can't go that way. I actually like the Nook right here, because we'll get a key and it'll take us back to the hallway. I don't care too much. I mean, it is nice to... Well... Going back to the bedroom is actually nice because it'll restore some of our exhaustion. And we haven't built the corridor. Now, the corridor says it's always left unlocked, which this means that the far door will never be locked, which can be useful if you're in a position where you might get a locked door. So I'll put this down because it does go to the bedroom. But I'm... you know what? Let's do it. We've got this passageway up here if we need it. But for now, let's go in. And let's take a look around. So, this room, like, all the stuff is in boxes. It's all packed up. But there is a picture of a bat. And a picture of a bathtub. And a hat that I can't do anything with. So that doesn't seem like anything else. So I'm going to take some notes here. So the corridor here has no locked door. Hat. At position 2-4, we see a picture of a bat and a picture of a bathtub. Okay. Anything else I want to say? Not really. That looks pretty good. Okay. So now I'm going to go back into the bedroom. But wait, not back into it. Remember, we never went in here in the first place. So this is our first time going into bedroom. But look at the language. It says, whenever you enter this room, you gain 2 steps. And you saw us. You lose 1 for going in, but then you get 2 for going in, so it's like a positive 1 for going through it, or at least going into it. And then when you go out of it, you'll lose a step, so it's kind of like a free pass. Some rooms, like the chapel, they have that doorway symbol, which means whenever you go into it. Other rooms, the effect is only the first time you go into it. So kind of start paying attention to what are continuous effects that are triggered every time you go in, and what effects only go off when you go in the first time. All right, let's look around. There is a kind of blue postcard, I guess, that says "Greetings from Reddington." Okay. There's Mount Holly in the background, I suppose. And there's this curio case that has a paper swan, some different knickknacks. There is a hand that is pointing down as like a decorative pedestal. There's a top hat. There is a pawn chess piece. There's a picture of a bride or a lady. And there's a bed. There's a picture of a bridge, it appears. And there is a woman's picture on the nightstand, and she is wearing a moon pendant with a pretty nice blazer. Okay. So, this bedroom, let's take some notes. The bedroom has a pawn and picture of lady with moon necklace. There is a Reddington postcard. And then we are in position 2-3. I believe. I'll double check that. And there is a picture of a bridge and a bride or lady. Okay. Yeah, 2-3. Excellent. All right. So then let us go down back to the entrance hall. And let's go into the den for the first time. Okay, well, there's a pawn chess piece. Very cozy room. There's lots of clocks everywhere. There are 2 pictures in this room. Remember, it said there was a gem. So look around for the gem. It's always sitting right there on the table. But sometimes there could be more than one item in a room. So look around, look around. See if we find anything else in the den. See if there's anything to interact with. Go nice and slowly. Okay. So, we see 2 pictures here. And let's talk about the den. We are in this position. All right, so the den is, right now, it's got a gem inside, lots of clocks, and it is at position 1, 2, and there was these picture of like praying, and then I don't know, a crowbar or a pry bar. Okay. Oh, there was also a pawn chess piece. I'll write that down. Excellent. Okay. So, anything else? Candlesticks, candles, roaring fire. That seems like that's about it for now. And I can go to the west or I can go to the north. Let's go to the corner. Well, look at that. Now we can make the Nook again and get a key. And let's do that. It's a nice corner piece. I could also make the nursery, which is a bedroom. But look below the nursery. You see how it says gem requirement 1 gem? This is typically what gems are going to be used for, which is to build certain rooms. Some rooms are more rare than others and provide more benefit than others. And some really nice rooms require a lot of gems to build. It could take 1 gem, 2 gem, 3 gem. Depends on, what kind of a room it is, how rare it is, how powerful it is. So if you don't have a gem, you can't build this. You can't draft it, and it'll be sad if you wanted that and your other choices are not good. So sometimes you start to look for certain currencies so that before you draft to make sure that you have the best options available. Because if I didn't have a gem, I have 4, but if I didn't have one, I would only be able to build these 2 choices. Now, luckily, the Nook is what I want to build, but now we know what gems can be used for, okay? And we'll go into the Nook. And the Nook told me it was going to give me a key, and we see a key right over there. So let's pick up a key. And let's look around. There is a rook chess piece, okay? And there is a picture of some sand dunes. There is this card, and this says, a journey noteworthy. As you continue on your adventure, you may want to consider getting something to scribble down your notes and observations, a pad, scrap of paper, or perhaps most fittingly a journal will prove to be an invaluable tool you will not regret having beside you on your journey. So it is worth noting that just looking at this, just observing, we saw a black card in the entryway that gave us rules of the game. This is another black card, and this is why I was taking notes earlier. I told you that even all the tips that I'm going to give you, or the tips to understand the game, it's in here. It's built in. You just have to wait and be patient, and that's what exploration can give you. It can explain one of the game systems to you. This is suggesting that you do what we've been doing the whole time, which is taking notes. I am going to say, though, you see how the word beside is not capitalized? Why is that? Why are all the other words capitalized, but that is not? I'm going to write that down. The Nook. So, black card with beside explains the journal. There is, of course, a key in here. Then we are at position 1-1, and we saw some sand dunes, and I think we saw like some flan or dessert on the other picture. Let me look at that. Yeah, it's like a dessert or, flan or some kind of unbelievably good-looking, I'm joking, pudding thing. It's not really my jam, but that's okay. All right. And anything else? Oh, you know what else we saw? I forgot. We saw a rook. And there's some books and, this Nook is awesome. Like, can you imagine eating here and just reading and chilling out? We could use some cushions, but it's still cool. It's like a diner booth. All right, let's go ahead and open this up. Very good. So we have several choices. The laboratory is just a red dead end. And not great. No benefit, just a dead end. We do want to build all rooms probably at some point just to see, but this is not what we want. The storeroom is okay because, we do have What I like to do if I'm going to build a dead end is see how many openings I have. The den has an opening to the north, and so does the chapel. So we wouldn't be ending our run. But the drawing room is going to give me 2 doors in addition to its connecting door. It takes a gem, but I have 4, and it says you may draw new floor plans while drafting in this room. And it has kind of like an architect's compass symbol, so we don't know what that means yet, but let's take it. All right, so now we've got a drawing room, and I'm going to go inside, and my goodness, drawing room, no joke. There's pictures all over the place of horses, men, boys running, women, people with umbrellas. Well, there's men with canes and umbrellas. Some are bent over, some are walking upright, some are walking to the right and to the left. So there's definitely something about that. There is a black telephone, which we can't interact with. Oh, there's a card in here. And explains drawing floor plans. Each time you click on the door, you will draw 3 floor plans, from which you must select 1 to draft. However, there are some items in rooms that will allow you to redraw if you do not like your initial 3 options. Okay, fair enough. And that's what they're telling you, is that the drawing room, when we draw 3 rooms, we can choose to say no thank you and redraw the 3 rooms and pick again. So it's really nice. The drawing room allows you a lot of customization to search better for a room that you're looking for. Okay. There is also this painting right here of our buddy, Herbert Sinclair. Now, this is a little spoilery, so if you want to skip it, I understand, but look at this. I'll just kind of give you this clue first. Look at this picture. You'll notice it was drawn in this room. And I'm going to put the room into focus and see if there's anything different that you can see about this picture and about the room itself. And as you're looking, you probably have noticed it. If not, I didn't notice this the first time I was in here. It took me several times before I noticed this. See how the candlestick on the left side, or our left side of the fireplace, one of the arms of it is kind of like bent down? So if you walk over here and get to this candlestick, you can bend this down, and that picture moves away to reveal a safe. So there is a safe in this room. Okay? And in addition to all of the drawn stuff on the walls and here, there are also 2 pictures. So I'm going to start taking some notes here about the drawing room. And we've noticed that there is a hidden safe. We have no idea what the combination to this safe is. I'll show you in a moment what the lock looks like, but we don't know the combination. And then we are at position 2-1. And we have found a picture of an airplane and a blueprint or some plans. Additionally, there was a black card in here with the word redraw in blue. Usually the words that are in blue like that, if we compare it to what we saw in the opening room, it's like a game term that they put in blue. but it's worth noting because we don't know that for sure. I'm just trying to infer that based on the evidence that we have. All right, and that's the game, by the way. Trying to find patterns. Trying to find things that are different. Trying to find connections and puzzles, solutions within the game. There's a pawn in here, so let me just put that quickly on my notes. If you go over to the safe and you click on it and you get close, you can see it's a number lock, you know, but we just don't know what the password is. You know, we could put anything we want, you know, 1993. I think that's the date that he died. That didn't do it. All right, fine. So now we can choose to go to the north or to the east. And let's open up the door to the east. So let's push tab to see. The passageway is a really, really good room because it's got 4 doors. But in this location, it's actually not great. It goes back to the den, which, okay, that's kind of useful. But it then dead ends into the bedroom, and so it's really only giving us 1 door, and we might want to save this for another opportunity. It's 2 gems as well. Honestly, I think this is a good time for us to think about taking something like the closet, and then just using the door to the north of the drawing room and the chapel. However, you see here on the right, this hand with the pencil icon appears to redraw floor plans, and this is the power of the drawing room, or there are other ways to redraw, but this is what the drawing room does. So let's just do it to see, and look at this. We get the pantry or the kitchen, and both of these will curl back into the den. So the kitchen is the first room of this kind of gold color. It takes a gem, and it's going to say food for sale. Now, if you were wondering what coins did, well, this would be an example. When something is for sale, you're going to pay coins for that. But we don't have any coins, so food for sale might not be great, but we could come back here if we wanted to buy some food. And we already had an example of how the apple was a piece of food that we got that gave us some steps back. So, you know, of these 2, we could build them both. Let's, for now, go ahead and drop in the pantry because it doesn't cost us any gems, and we could save those for later. So I'm going to build it. And let's go in, because in the pantry, you're going to see, let's look around. There's, well, food. Oh, right back here are the pictures. And looks like some steps and some stars. So where am I on the map? I'm at 2-2. Okay. I'm going to take some notes here. Let's see. This is the pantry. And we are at 2-2. And we saw stairs and stars. And that's enough for the moment for our notes. We're going to need to look further in the room to see what we actually have here. Okay. Ooh, there's some money. Remember it said 4 coins. 1, 2, 3, 4. So there we go. In the upper right, you can see we now have 1 key that we got in the Nook. 3 gems, 2 from the puzzle, 1 from the den, and 4 coins, all from the pantry. And this note, Bridget, please pick up some more fruit before Friday. Okay, notice everything is capitalized except what? that bridge on Bridget. Like, these are the kinds of little teeny things that you're kind of like, I mean, it almost looks like it's handwritten, but then it's all caps. So it's hard to tell what's going on here. Bridget, bridge, okay. Please pick up some more fruit before Friday, as we've just been informed that we may have an extra guest exploring the house next week. 50 steps should be more than enough, so I think an even spread would be ideal. And I love how, you know, the game concepts like sprinkle into the notes that you find around. Like 50 steps worth of food. How hilarious is that these people deal with this in their everyday life? So 5 apples, 5 bananas, and 5 oranges. The enclosed amount should cover expenses, but please bring back any change from that order and leave it in the pantry. So we got the change, so which was 4 coins. So I'm going to kind of open up my notes, and we're going to say, okay, well, of course we get coins. There's also an apple in here. And then there's a note with the word bridge. And then it says, you know, 5 apples, 5 bananas, 5 oranges in the note. And this, you know, it equals 50 steps. So, okay, that might be worth jotting down. And again, like, I don't know what's worth jotting down and what's not. Sometimes I do, and I'm not telling you because I don't want to spoil it. And sometimes, you know, I'm still just learning the game myself and taking notes. Because there might even be more stuff that I have missed in my own play that I can pick up by just being even more observant. And, well, there is the beautiful and cozy den again. Anything else in here that I want to get? We got the pictures, we got the position, there's coffee, flour, sugar, ingredients, machines, but there's nothing else for us to interact with. Now I'm actually going to take a step and go back into the drawing room. I know that it wasted a step, but we wanted to explore this room for the first time. Well, let's see what we can get going to the north here. Okay, so we have the West Wing Hall, the spare room, and the closet, and we can redraw this using the special ability of the drawing room. Now, if I look at this, the West Wing Hall is actually really good. Gives me 2 doors, no negatives. It's a room that we haven't yet built. We do know that the red card that we saw suggests that doors are locked in the West Wing. However, we're not sure entirely. You know, think about the game that we saw with the 3 boxes. 1 box is true, 1 box is false, 1 box could be either. I think it's safe to, you know, consider the possibility of, is all of the information that we get true? Like, you know, is that part of the puzzle as well? It's something to think about. So we could test that out. And let's go to the West Wing, because it's got 2 doors. And let's go in and see what we can find here. Okay, you see it's boarded up. So the windows have been boarded up in the West Wing Hall. Interesting. And over on this table, there is a scrap of paper, and it says, Staff Notice, June 15th, 1983. Out of respect for the late Lady Clara Epson, the West Wing will be closed until further notice. While the floor plans associated with this wing have not been removed from the pool, we ask that staff members refrain from drafting them during this period of mourning. Likewise, and it's ripped off. So, there's a few things that we want to take note of. Let's bring up our notes. So this is the West Wing Hall, and I'm just going to, write down 6/15/83 is when Lady Clara Epson dies. I mean, I think it's that day. And West Wing, her wing, and closed, question mark? Okay, so that's a good note to have. We will just click away on that. There's some nice radiator heat. We've got a couple of pictures. And let's see here. Anything else? A nice chair with some holly decoration, of course. You see how the lights are off? Totally closed. And let's see, is this door locked? No. So one door isn't locked. That doesn't necessarily mean that the card we found is false. They might have changed things after the mourning period was over. But it's good to know that at least this door isn't locked. That doesn't mean the other door isn't locked, by the way. Now we have 3 choices here of what to draft. Let's open up the map with tab. I could put in the guest bedroom. The guest bedroom is really great because it gives you 10 steps. This is something that you want to place when you're starting to run out of steps, but we're not running out of steps. The nursery is also very good because it makes all subsequent bedrooms that you draft give you +5 steps. So that's really good. You see how the word bedroom, by the way, is in purple on the card here. Notice the color of this room and the color of the bedroom that we have placed and the color of the guest bedroom. I don't want to put this, though, because it is a dead end. This passageway is going to take 2 gems from me, which is a ton. However, it's a room I haven't built, and it gives me 2 doors. The 3rd door is unfortunately a dead end, but I still want as many as possible because these are things that you start to factor in when you're making these decisions. Think about, how many gems do I have? I'll still have 1. Okay. How many steps do I have left? If I don't have very many steps, I need to build that guest bedroom or the nursery. Where am I on the map? Is this room a new room? Because I have a lot of steps, I happen to have 3 gems. I've never built this room. I want doors, so I'm taking the passageway. But we're not going to go in there yet. We're not going to leave yet. I'm going to take a look at these 2 pictures. It looks like a bird and a boat, or like a crow and, a rowboat. So let's take some notes. We can open this up and go over here. We are at position 3-1. And we see a crow or a bird and a boat or a rowboat. Again, like I said, I know the answer to a lot of these things, and I'm trying to present this in a non-spoiler way. So what I'm doing is just writing down some possibilities. Some of them are right, some of them aren't, because this is the kind of mindset that I want you to be in to learn how to play this game and succeed at it. Also, I'm writing down stuff as I still speculate theories and try to figure out things about this game. So we have this open. Do I want to go into the passageway, or do I want to open the door north? I'm going to open the door to the north first, because I don't have to use a step to do that. And we could see what we get. So the commissary would let us buy items. The boudoir is an interesting one because it's a bedroom in that purple color, but it doesn't actually do anything by itself. So, do we want to create this, yes or no? I'm actually going to make a storeroom. I know it's a dead end, and if I look at the map, it's sad, but I have 3 open doors, So I can afford to do this right now. And it's going to give me a key, a gem, and some coins. And we haven't built it yet either. So let's build the storeroom. Let's go in. Let's get ourselves a coin right here. And let's look around and just kind of see what we can in this storeroom. Look at that rug. It's awesome. Just coiled up. There's a key. And here is a gem. There is a pawn in this room being stored. There is a globe. There is a rocking horse. And you see this piece of paper? Little pieces of paper like this, little notes, these are always things you want to try to look at. They could be letters, memos. And in this case, it's a picture of a blue duck with a bathing suit and swim cap. Okay, so not really sure what this is about, but let's take some notes here in a moment. Let's see. There is the Queen of Diamonds, and there is a car. Okay. All right. So let's then take some notes. The storeroom. We saw blue bird drawing. Bluebird with swimsuit. There you go. A pawn. This is at position 4-1. We saw Queen of Diamonds and a car. And of course, it gives you key, gem, coin. Okay, pretty good. Now, it's worth mentioning, and I'm sure you know this, but the game will go faster once we've seen the rooms, but we need to take these notes now. There's also a little model of a house over here or something. What is this? Or maybe it's just a dollhouse or a toy that's been put in to storage. Okay. So we're going to leave, and let's go into the passageway. So the passageway is like super austere. You could see that it's got this like, fluorescent lighting and pipes, and it's just behind the walls. It's like not meant to be used by anyone, perhaps except the staff for a shortcut or something like that. This is not where the guests or the lord and lady of the house would go. But here we are. And this room has nothing. There's no pictures. There's nothing. So I'm going to note that. I'm going to say no decorations or pictures, and this is at 3-2. Okay. Now I can go north or east. Let's go north. Okay. Nursery, spare room, or laboratory. I'm going to go with the spare room here because it provides a door, and the others are dead ends. And I'm still prioritizing doors. I have 2 keys, I have 2 gems, I have 5 coins, and I have 41 steps. I don't want to box myself in with dead ends because I've got so many resources to explore with. Now, in this spare room, you could see it looks like they're starting to paint it blue, of course. And there's some boxes and, packing tape. But other than that, there doesn't appear to be anything in here at all. There's a ceiling fan. So we'll note that. The spare room has nothing. Blue paint. And it is at position 4-2. Okay. So do I want to keep going north, or do I want to go back at the passageway? I don't want to backtrack unless I have to, so let's just go forward. Oh, and here we go. The door is locked. So now we see what keys are for, or one application of keys anyway, for when the doors become locked. All right. Uh-oh. Okay, so dead-end laboratory, dead-end utility closet, not dead-end boudoir. So we're going to build the boudoir because it has 2 doors. I can't remember if I misstated reading this as a dead end, but it's not. It just doesn't have any benefit that's stated, as many purple rooms do for restoring. Let's take a look around. All right, there's some shoes. This is like a woman's, relaxation changing kind of room. And there is a picture here on the nightstand of a Christmas party. And just look at what you see. Presents under the tree. Christmas. Santa hat on the, mannequin dummy. Lights on the mirror, lights all around. And then somebody, it looks like, got a giant safe that's being opened over here for Christmas. Okay? So, whenever you see a picture of a room in this game, always see, how is it the same or different from the way the room appears now? What has changed over time? Are there any clues for me to observe? Okay, so, well, there's the, dress form. There's the gramophone. There's some pictures. There's a music box. Not much. The handle on this is spinning, but I don't hear any music coming out. Let's see. Oh, look at that. In the wall back here, behind the mirror, is a giant safe, like what we saw in the picture. So, what do we make of that? Well, I'm going to look around, and I'm going to take some notes. So we see a safe, Christmas photo, ladies' room, and there are some pictures which are, looks like an aviator or a pilot, and some land or like a plot of land or something. It's kind of like a square of land. All right. And if I go here, I am at 5-2. All right. Let me put that down here. Well, these are actually there. Okay. All right. But the question is, can I infer the combination to this safe from the clues in this room? Now, I was able to do this in my Let's Play. I had a little bit of assistance from the chat, but it's putting the clues together and thinking about, this is a combination lock. What clue do I have? If you don't want me to give you this clue, just fast forward past this part. But I think it's not too difficult to infer what the password is based on the photograph. When was this given? We can tell. Okay. was given on Christmas because of the photo. So, what if I put in 12 December 25th and I say enter? It opens the safe. Now, let me tell you, it works also in non-American date standards, so you can actually put 25/12 if you are in a tradition that lists day before month. So just be aware, I was told by chat that both of those combinations work. All right, so now we're in, and there is a gem in here, and there is this red letter with a number 4 on it. Okay. So this says, Herbert, I was distraught to learn that you have chosen to omit the details of our dear Marion's disappearance from the public record. It is no surprise to me that the royal court would want this embarrassment kept as quiet as possible, but I am shocked that you have so little regard for your niece that you would play the king's scullion and stoop to kissing the foot that treads upon her memory. She gave up her family, her fortune, and her life, and all you can do is think of your name. Having never had a family name nor fortune of my own, I cannot personally condemn you for faltering in your commitment to make the same sacrifices she did, but for the love of God, do not by that same display of weakness clutch your petty assets so tightly that you undermine the cause that she forfeited everything to further. Our countrymen must be made aware of the price she paid, and must be made to see the color of the flag she flew as she rode into the darkness of 100 nights. To deny her story is to deny her life. If through your silence you bless this betrayal, our son, Simon, your heir, which is me, so this is written by my father, and my mother has disappeared, will inherit a fortune of lies and will spit upon your grave when he learns of your cursed foolishness. Needless to say, we will not be coming for Christmas this year, Daniel. Okay, so this is a very emotional and startling letter with lots of clues as to what's going on, but also even more mystery. Now, if I push tab, you will notice that a red envelope has now appeared on our blueprint screen, because this envelope is an important part of the story and is kept track of. So we need to, on our notes, red envelope 4 and a gem in safe. 1225 combination. Okay. All right, great. So a lot going on in this room, and this is kind of how the game works and why it's so cool and why I keep playing it, is there's so much mystery to not only exploring the mansion, figuring out the rules, trying to find room 46, but also just trying to find out what's going on here. Like, what is this place? And what's the story of me and Herbert Sinclair and, Mount Holly Estate and all of it? All right. So I can go now to the west, and I will. And, okay. I can build the dining room, the mailroom, or the office. These are all blue rooms. The mailroom is a dead end, but it says a package will be delivered here the day after drafting this room. So what that means is if I build the mailroom and then I go inside, I will trigger the mailroom so that the next time I build the mailroom, I don't know if it necessarily has to be the exact next day, but the next time I build it, there will be a package inside for me. So it's kind of like planning ahead. The dining room says each day a meal is served in the dining room after rank 8 has been reached. So the dining room will give you a meal. Rank 8 is obviously row 8, so we'd have to make it much further. But a meal is great because it's going to restore, just like food, right? It's going to restore steps. And we can think that's probably going to restore some more steps than an apple, for example. And then the office gives you the opportunity to earn and spread money. So that's kind of cool. Like, who doesn't want to earn and spread money? However, it does take 2 gems. And do I want to use 2 gems? Well, let's think about this. I could have the dead end here. That would leave me with 2 doors open. One east on the passage and one north on the chapel. I could build a dining room, which would give me an open door. Or I could build the office, which would also give me an open door. The dining room is nice for planning future restoration. The office is very good, but it does take 2 gems, and the mailroom is also... These are all rooms that we've never built. I'm going to build a dining room to give us more opportunity for doors. And we go in, and possibly some later exploration. And we see in the dining room, there are some pictures. There's some wine everywhere. Some nice decorations. There is a serving tray, but it's closed. Oh, and there's a salt shaker. This is actually something you could pick up. This is our first item that we have found, and this makes it so whenever we eat food, we just get an extra step. It's hilarious. It counts like you put it on a banana. It doesn't matter what it is, but it just gives you +1, so it's very good. And if we push tab and go into our blueprint screen over here in our inventory, you can see the salt shaker, and you can click on it to get that description of its properties again. This door is bricked up because it goes south into the storeroom, and there is no matching door in the storeroom. And we can look around. There is a pawn chess piece in this cabinet. We can look outside on the grounds, see a pretty big tree. And there is a door. There is a clock. Okay. I'm going to take my notes. Some flowers here for the bedroom. Or the dining room, rather. And let's just keep those on the screen. It's a test tube and a bathtub. Okay. So the dining room has... We got a serving tray, some salt, a pawn, and this is at position, it's rank 5 or row 5, 1. And we saw a test tube and a bathtub. Okay, great. Now what I'm going to do is open this door to the north. It's locked. I have to use my last key. Okay. So I could build a closet, the commissary, or the billiard room. Okay. Let's build the commissary. It's only 1 gem, and it gives us items to buy. It's going to give me a doorway as well. The billiard room is also good. However, the billiard room is a puzzle room, and just full disclosure, we don't know how to do the puzzle in this room yet. You could build it and go through it, but you wouldn't be able to figure out the puzzle without a clue that we're going to get somewhere else. So I'm going to kind of hold off on this because I don't know how to solve the puzzle. It's not like the puzzle in the Parlor... the Parlor, which has the rules inside. This one is a little different. That's a little spoilery, I know, but we're going to build the commissary instead because I have 5 coins. Okay. So here is the commissary, which is sweet because we can buy some, cigarettes. Who doesn't want that? And then we can play this cool arcade game called Dirigi Blocks. although it doesn't appear to be powered on. And oh, okay, look at this. This door is locked. And at first when I saw this, it had a down arrow. I was like, oh, is this an elevator? No, it's a electronic keycard reader. So we can't go to the east unless we get an electronic keycard or have some way to bypass this, which we don't. There's nothing in the trash, but there are some things on the bulletin board. So this says, effective the first week of December, payroll for all live, out, and seasonal staff, or live out, rather, will be managed electronically. As your attendance will no longer be registered at morning roll call, it is doubly important that you do not fail to clock in and out at one of the electronic computer terminals on the estate. 2 of these terminals can be found at security, where the punch clock used to be, and in the laboratory. So there's a security room we can build, and there's a laboratory room we can build, and they have computer terminals, apparently. Any questions or concerns regarding this progress should be directed, as always, to our house manager, Miss Babbage. And then there's a password, but it's been scratched out. Now, if only we had a way to kind of take a closer look at this, we might be able to divine the password, but we do not have that right now. And here is one of the biggest clues that someone gave me in chat when I was streaming the game, and I found it to be so helpful, and I'm going to give it to you now because it's not spoiling, it's right in front of our face. Now the game is explaining the 2 images in the rooms. It's saying, what does this picture have that this picture does not have? Or rather, what does the word for this picture have that the word for this picture does not have? So you're trying to create a word that is similar in letters for both of these that is missing something. So again, you know, if you don't want to hear my reasoning for this puzzle, you can fast forward. But I will say, what do we have a picture of? It's either a picture of some wheat or some grain or plants, and then a picture of a cloud or of rain or of a storm. Which of those words sounds similar? Well, that's right. Grain and rain. And that means that the grain has a G and the rain does not. So the letter is in fact G. So I'm going to note all of this down. The game has given us a clue about one of the puzzles that we're encountering, and now we can start to compare all of the images that we have found and see if we can extract the hidden meaning. But for now, let's go ahead and just take a moment and look at the commissary, and we know it has, a store, a red note, staff notice, scratched out password, and we also found at this position grain and rain, and so we have a G. And I'm going to go back here and I'm going to just mark this is at 6-1. Okay. And now let's take a look at this red note, and it says the commissary, 2 S's, will be closed from day 12 to day 16. Sorry for any inconvenience. Okay, so let's put that note. Let's say closed from... Oh, my note was in the way. Sorry about that. I'll get it. And let me alter this. Okay. And I'll hide my note. This is what it says. Okay. And what can we do at the commissary? Well, there is also a 50% off sale on day 20 and 21. And look at this. I can buy gems, a sledgehammer, a set of gems, or some running shoes. So the inventory of the commissary changes each time you build it. So you can't count on something being there. But there's usually currencies, like maybe you can buy... well, I don't know if you could buy keys, but there might be some food that you could buy. There might be... No, not even that. But there's definitely a rotating inventory of items. I don't want to say too much. Let's just say there's a rotating inventory of items. Like the sledgehammer, which is 8 coins, and the running shoes, which are 8 coins. And these would work like our salt shaker as an item that we carry around and gives us some kind of benefit. We could also buy gems if we need them, 3 for 1 or 4 for 10. So we don't want to spend any money right now. I don't want to anyway. I don't need it. I'm not sure what I'm going to need my money for. I'm going to save it. What if I get some coins and I want to buy the sledgehammer, for example? I don't even know what it does, but maybe I want to buy it. All right, and this game, I want to play, but I can't. It's not plugged in, not working. So let's turn around, and we need to go back because we can no longer go as we don't have a key card. So we're going to run back. Of course, one thing you could do if you'd liked would be to go back through all of our notes and start figuring out what the missing, what the message or missing letters are from each of the pictures, but let's not do that just yet. Let's go over here and open this. Okay. I can build, again, the dead-end lavatory, the bunk room, which is a bedroom that counts as 2 bedrooms, which is kind of cool. But instead, let's build the courtyard, because it takes a gem. It's our first green room, but it will give me a door. It doesn't block me in. Here we go. And we have built it. And we look around, and there isn't much here. Again, this room is totally random what you're going to get in. Sometimes it might have an item sitting around in it. Sometimes, there might be more here. There's a pile of dirt over here. There's some trees. There's another pile of dirt. There's a blocked-in door. But, and nice access to the outside, but that's it. There is a hose. I can't do anything. There is this. There's this plank. Not much I can do. So, this is at 3:3. I'm just going to make a note. The courtyard had nothing. It had dirt piles. No pictures. Okay. And let's see. Well, I can go north. Let's try. Awesome. All right, we found the observatory, and we found a bedroom and a closet. So these are both good. We haven't built them. They would be useful, but the observatory is fantastic, and it has a door. So it kind of hinges on that. It takes a gem. It's our last gem, but we did it. And let's go in. Look at the upper left. We just got a new currency, a star. There's a globe that we can spin, and then there's like, I don't know, a compass or something down beneath. There's a globe here that we can spin. There's some pictures. There's a night chess piece, which is appropriate, given that you look at the night sky. There's, I mean, alternate universe, right? This is not really Earth that we're on. There's 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 planets that we can see. So we're not in Kansas anymore. And there is also the planets are hanging up here. And there is a book over here. The Fixed Stars, The Stargazer's Companion to Constellations by Richard Witt. Fen Aries, Bird and Sons, Publishing, 1809, up to date. Preface. This book contains a complete starbase, a list of constellations, and the observed effects that accompany the appearance of each one. Depending on the number of stars that can be seen in the sky on any given day, different constellations of various sizes may be visible, sometimes more than one in a single day. This book, a solid base for astronomy, will help you easily identify these constellations, impress your friends, and discover the joy of stargazing. The North Star, which is just one, gives you 1 gold. The Twins, 2 stars, give you 2 trunks in the entrance hall. And so what this book is explaining basically is that for every star that you have, if you reveal the constellation, you get these benefits. And it goes up all the way to 20. And you can see what the benefits are. And you see we have 1 star, so we should get the North Star and collect 1 gold. But how do we do that? Well, we need to explore this room. And you'll see right here that we have a telescope. And I want to look into it, but it's pointing at the wall, so that's not right. And I can turn this crank to move the telescope. So there's the opening in the observatory. So let's move it again. And I need to move it further, but you notice it won't move. And it won't move because you see the telescope is hitting this ledge right here. So we need to actually go up these steps. And over here, you're going to find another control. And what does this do? You notice how if I move my mouse to the right, it's like turn it clockwise, and then on this side, it's turn it counterclockwise. Let's turn it clockwise, and you see it raises the telescope up. And that's what we want to do. We want to raise it up. And once it's been raised up, we're still not looking at the sky. We need to turn it a little bit. And now how are we doing? Now, if I look, there's 1 star. Click on it. We get a gold. So once you've rotated the telescope, you can now use your stars to get a benefit, and you can check this book to see what those benefits are. It does tell you that maybe you can see more than 1 combination on a particular day, but right now we only know 1 star. And there are some things in this game that you'll see where I'll just tell you now, because it's interesting. It's a time-saving feature, but if you get the observatory again, and look at this, you see how the description for the observatory says +1 star for each time you've drafted the observatory. So what this means is that every time we pick this out of the deck or the pool and put it into play, we get a star, and that's permanent. You see how in the lower right, the star says 1? That's a permanent currency that we have. And when we come in here next time, if we build it again, we'll get 2, and we'll get the next constellation. But you don't have to move the telescope again. It will stay in this position, so you don't have to, like, rotate it anymore. That being said, you can feel free to tinker with it, but we're set. Now, I have a door I can open here, but what if... This is a thought process for the game. If I'm going to go draft, if I have no gems, I might not want to draft because I might get a selection of a room that I want, but I can't build it because I have no gems. And I can't back out of the transaction because I have no gems. I am forced to build, and so I have to pass. So instead, what if I ran back to the commissary and bought a couple of gems? That could be something that I do to make sure that I can open this room. However, it's going to take me 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11, 12 of my 31 steps to do that. So again, it's a balancing act. Like, do you want to do it? Is that worth it to you? Probably not right now. This early in the game, not necessary. So we see 2 pictures as well. It looks like a stage and, a plant or a flower of some kind. So let's do this. Let's experiment. The observatory has telescope with stars and constellations. It also has book on stars, and it has pictures of a stage and a flower. So remember, we want to try to find 2 words for these pictures that are identical or close to identical, only off by 1 letter, so that one has something with and one has something without. The answer to this is thinking about, well, are there any alternative words like theater that would go with this, or curtain, or show? No, not really. Stage is correct. For flower, though, if I looked more closely at it, is it a flower? Is it a plant? Is it an herb? Or what about it's sage? So sage is different by the letter T. And so this could be a T. And we are at rank 4, column 3. So let me put that over here. Excellent. Okay. Now we have another clue, and I'm actually going to attempt to open this. And if I get a gem door, I just get one, and I can't do anything. So we can't build the kitchen because we don't have any gems. And sadly, all I get are dead ends. I'm going to build the bunk room to get some steps back. But instead of the lavatory, which appears to give me nothing. So we go in the bunk room and we find, yep, it's a place for some kids. There is a living hamster in here. Do not ask how. There is a trophy for something. A drum. A TP. Oh, 2 gems. Okay. Tripod. 2 pawns. A Atari or ColecoVision, whatever. Radio. Bunk bed. Some shoes. And over here, a magnifying glass, or I'm sorry, a microscope, and then, what's this? A journal. Today is a good day because Simon is at camp and he is not as much fun as my friends. I will not have to share my toys, and I will not have to share my room, and I will not have to share my snacks. Having a younger brother is not as much fun as they told me it would be, but today will be a good day because he's at camp. Herbie is mean and really stupid, and today is a good day because I threw away his airplane. Okay, so there's some kid writing, with regular capitalized words and sentences, and then there's all caps, kid in red. I also have more fun at camp than he had in his entire life. So, the person writing in red is Simon. Now, I'm Simon. Did I write that? Today is a good day because I got my brother in trouble for reading my private journal without my permission and writing mean things in it too. He also threw my model airplane in the bushes outside, but I got it back, and if he does it again, he will not get to go to the park on a Friday, and I will make sure he gets no presents for his birthday. I don't need any presents, so spelling issue, because I have my brother's book, because he won't stop writing about me, and today is a good day because I know he cries when he can't find his book, even though he is older, he is a crybaby. And then now it says today is a good day in bold because today my brother returns from college and I get to finally return to him the book I took from him a long time ago. Hopefully you find it as hilarious as I do. I honestly have no idea how we survived sharing a room. All things being said, scratch out, I wouldn't have it any other way. I still would rather have had a sister. Congrats on the diploma and welcome home, Simon. So, not sure entirely what to make of this. Because how could I have written this? My older brother, Herbie, returned from college? But isn't Herbie this Herbert Sinclair? So he must have had a brother named Simon, who I'm named after as a family member? Maybe? It's confusing, but it's a mystery, and let's think about that, and let's write it down. What pictures do we see? Okay. The hamster is rolling, by the way. Just on that wheel. I am at rank 4, row 4. Oh, I'm sorry if I had the note on the screen the whole time. I apologize. Sometimes I forget. It's not on my main screen. I forget that I have turned it on. It's on my other monitor. So this is the Bunk Room. And it has 2 pawns. It has the journal. And it has pictures. This is at 4-4. And the pictures were of a tree and a match. Now, this one took me a while of looking at it and thinking about, again, what are the closest matches I can make for these words, but that are off by 1 letter. What I came up with was the tree is actually a fir tree, and the match is actually fire, which means that the difference is E. Now, that may or may not be correct. That's just what I looked at, and you could see a fir tree makes sense. This is a coniferous fir tree, and this could be match, flame, light, fire, lots of different options, but we got it. Anything else we need to know? No, that's good. Let's go out. So I'm going to go over to the chapel. I could go to the commissary and buy some gems. It's not the worst idea in the world, but it would take some serious steps. Let's count it out. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11, 12, 13, 14, 15, 16, 17, 18 of my 29 steps I would use if I wanted to make that. Or I just go 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10 and get here. I think we take the shortcut and don't go to the commissary. But you could do whatever you want. And, you know, what this means is we won't have any coins for... Or, I'm sorry, we won't have any gems for drafting. But that could be okay. We lose a coin coming into the chapel. There goes. And let's draft. Oh. I forgot. I'm sorry. You guys were probably like, what are you talking about? I got gems in the bunk room. Now, those are random. They're not always there, but we did get them. The office is the only room I can build that will give us a door. However, it's not that promising. It's only going to give us the opportunity for one more because of where the bunk room is. But that's the best we can do unless we find a key card. So we'll build the office and step inside. And in the office, we find a statue of a queen with a tiara. A triangle. Here's a computer terminal. A hand pointing to the left. Camera. There is a king or a queen chess piece. And then pictures. It's like a nice little kind of statue out there in the columns. And there's a picture here of a woman and a man with a mustache. Perhaps a young Herbert. Oh, cool. And there, yes, let's see if we can see this. Here's a woman with a book standing by Mount Holly. Out front, where the fountain is, it appears. So there's a lot on this desk. First of all, there's an upgrade disc. What is this? This is an item that you can find and you use it at a computer to upgrade one of your floor plans. It's super good. There's also a note in here. Let's open the drawer. There's this like switch right here. What does this do? Well, it reveals a safe. And there's also this letter. It says, Bridget, please check if any books matching these titles are available for purchase in Reddington. Flight of the Queen, March of the Count, Fall of the Lord, Passing of the Barons, Herrings of the Major. Had a little problem reading the Baron's writing, so I'm not sure if the last title is intended to be hearings or herrings, but knowing Herbert, I suspect either would be suitable. Okay. So, this is an important note. because it's got so much info on it, and I would recommend taking a picture of it with your phone, taking a screenshot of it. March of the count not in red. So in the office, we found this list of books, and the only one that's not in red is this title, so I kind of wrote that down, but the other ones are important as well, so that's why I take a picture of it so you don't lose any info. Then there's a note here that says the antechamber lever in the greenhouse is broken again. So remember how, the antechamber is what we're trying to get. And what do these levers do? I don't think there's enough time to put in another work order before Simon arrives. That's me. So make sure the west and east levers are operational. So in greenhouse, broken. So I'm inferring that this opens the south door to the antechamber because the east and west levers are operational. And this is what I'm inferring all from this. The antechamber has doors. I told you could see in the picture, these doors are not open. And so maybe you need to pull levers or have a password or have a key card or have some kind of puzzle solved to open them. Well, the lever that was the east and west have to be open. The north goes off the grid. The south is busted, and that's the greenhouse one, is what I'm inferring. We can push E to insert the upgrade disk, and it's going to randomly pick a room. The boudoir, and we can upgrade this, and we get to pick of 3 options what we want. Do we want it so when you go in, you get a gem, or you get 2 dice, or you get 3 apples? Interesting. I personally always love gems, so I'm going to take gems. There's also a gem in the safe, I think, and I think that's there every time. I'm not sure. It might not be. But then that would mean you get 2 gems potentially in here, or at least 1. So you get to pick whatever you want. These dice, I will tell you what these do. They're ivory dice. They're an item you can find, and they let you redraw the rooms. You use 1 die up to redraw the rooms, just like you do with the drawing room that we've done earlier. And then the apples obviously restore steps, but with our salt shaker, they would restore even more. I'm going to do this. And it says, is this the upgrade you want? And what this means is, in future days, whenever I draft this, I will get +1 gem with the boudoir. So now it does something. And I say yes. So these are awesome. Okay? Let's look at the computer. Welcome to Mount Holly Home Office. So we can run payroll. And what this does is it will put money in each staff member's room, which is the servants' quarters and the maid chamber. We haven't built either of these rooms, but if you had, you could do this and money would go into them. I'm not going to run it because I haven't built them, and I want to make sure that I get the money. Spread gold in the estate, so we can spread gold. So it says distributed in a number of rooms currently active throughout the estate. So we could just spread some gold around if we wanted. Okay, great. We did it. So now if we go back through the rooms, there will be coins lying around that we can pick up. We can also try to log into the network, but we don't have the password for this. Remember, we saw it, but it was scratched out, so we have to learn the password. All right, so we upgraded the floor plan, and we distributed some gold, and we have 1 room left that we can open. Okay. Well, unfortunately, we don't have gems to build the locksmith where you can buy keys, or the music room where there's a major and a minor key, haha. But we can build the utility closet. So the utility closet is a dead-end room, but it's super useful. And oh, we got to write down. Did I write down the pictures in the office? I didn't. We got to do that. You open this, and this lets you, for example, turn off the power to the keycard entry system. Now, as it's currently set, the room will still be locked, but we can use this in combination with something else to bypass it. I want the power in the dark room to be on. That's correct. Let's turn on the power in the garage. Let's just keep all the power on for everything else. Cabinet power. This is like scratched out. And then these like VAC indicators, you know, they're changing color. We don't know what these are for right now. Presumably some kind of puzzle. You know, you see we got purple, but I'm just going to leave it as is. And this is if you ever need to turn power on or off, that's how you do it. So let's say there's a clock and a lock, and we are in the utility closet. Let's get some notes on the page. So there's power for these rooms. VA lights, key cards, and then this is in 3, 4, and we saw a clock and a lock, which means that this is a C. Okay. Excellent. And then we'll go back in here. And there is a pea pod and a mountain. That's Mount Holly. And I kept, thinking like, okay, how do I connect this? Well, it's the peak of the mountain and a P. So let's go and say, okay. And the office has a peak and P, which is a K. And then there is a queen chess piece. And let me see what this is. 3, 5. Okay, perfect. So I have how many steps left? 16. And no place I can go. We have all dead ends. This requires a key card, and we can't do anything about it. But that's okay. This safe right here, we have no idea what the password is to this safe. We have not gotten enough information for that just yet. But we'll try to figure out what we think, the password might be and look for clues for it. Remember, everything you're not sure about, you just write it down because you might find information about it later. The final thing, oh, look, the gold was distributed indeed throughout the house, right? So we might want to do I have enough steps? 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10. Yeah, I do. I'm going to go back to the commissary, and it'll end our run. The other thing we could do is go outside and explore. That's also good, but we'll probably get into that next episode. Because what we can do at the commissary is really useful, which is buy some items just so we know what they actually are. Some money over here. Remember, the office spread it all around everywhere. We're getting loaded. Unreal. We could buy both of them now. Okay, perfect. We didn't make it to rank 8, so there's no food for us. But that's okay. And we're going to come in, and we're going to buy... I'm going to buy the Sledgehammer. And it tells you it can shatter padlocks on locked trunks. So you can sometimes find trunks that you need a key to open. But with this, you don't even need a key. You just break it open. Perfect. And then we're going to also buy the running shoes. Occasionally save steps when traveling longer distances across the estate and grounds. So that explains what those do. Now we know in the future what a Sledgehammer will do for us and what running shoes will do for us, so we can make a good decision on if we should buy them. And you see I lost one step. I lost another step. And let's see if I lose another step here. I do. And what happens? Boom. We pass out. You have used all your steps and must now call it a day. You have pushed yourself to the very edge of exhaustion and must now return to your campsite to get some rest. You can continue your search tomorrow, however, the house might be a little bit different, or a lot bit different. So this was our first day, our first run. And after each day, you get this little synopsis of how you did. And, synopsis, rather. We built 23 total rooms. We got all the way up to rank 6 with that commissary. 56 steps, 2 items found. All of these rooms were brand new rooms to us. And now, you can either save and continue or save and quit. I will tell you, if you save and continue, you start a new day, but then if you want to quit, if you ever want to quit in the middle of a day, it will end the day. And you can only resume at the beginning, I believe, by starting a new day, so you'll lose your progress. I think that's the case. I'm not entirely sure, but that seems to be what happened in my experience. If that's not the case, if you can save and quit during the day and then resume, please let me know, but it looks like you can't. So be very careful when you do this, because each run takes, 30, 40 minutes. Everyone, I hope you have found this first episode to be useful and fun. I went into the weeds, into the details so thoroughly, because this is the kind of game that demands detail, observation, thinking, puzzle solving, exploration, trial, error, and I wanted to just show you what's involved in the decision-making, solving the puzzles, trying to figure out how to take good notes, how to solve, the solutions for maybe the safes or the puzzle rooms, and how to explore successfully. There's still so much to do, and we will need to pick up next time with day 2 and see what we can do and see how the game starts to build as you actually make some progress and can even make changes like the upgrade disc that we got, or the stars, for example, that persist between runs. If you have any questions about the game, please post those in the comments below. I'd love to help you out. And if you're an expert on the game and you'd like to clarify any mistakes that I've made or share any tips for new players, that would be awesome. I'd really appreciate it. Just make sure, if you're trying to help new players, that you don't spoil the game, that you don't give them more information than they could infer from the clues that they have found, because that's really what I'm trying to do here. It's very difficult and sometimes unavoidable, but I'm trying to keep everything within the grounds of what we have actually experienced in the game, so people can learn how these solutions present themselves in the natural course of playing. Thanks so much, everyone. Take care.